So we're going to let this cook. I'm going to put the lid on it and just let it cook. And with quinoa, the way that you can tell that quinoa is done is a little tail comes out from the actual grain. I'm going to put my lid on there. Let it cook for about 15 minutes. Make sure we got everything in there that we wanted. We'll put a little bit of pepper in there. Okay, so while that's cooking, I would like to share a PowerPoint presentation with everyone. So let me share my screen. Slideshow. So the name of our series is Cooking from the Roots. Somebody's not muted.
Everybody can see this?
Yes, everybody can see this. So we're going to talk about the 4 pillars of healthy eating, of how to eat a whole food, plant-based lifestyle. So the first thing we want to do is we want to focus on what whole foods are. And whole foods basically are just like you would find them in their pure, basic form. They're unprocessed. And by being unprocessed, they're going to retain more of the nutrients than what you would see in a processed packaged food. So basically what we try to do is we try and cook everything from scratch, everything from whole foods. Somebody else again. So real food versus processed food. Okay, so whole food is in their natural state. It's fresh. Simple ingredients to pronounce. The big exception to that would be quinoa. It's nutrient dense and it contains lots of vitamins, minerals, antioxidants versus processed food, which has been highly refined. So you're losing a lot of the nutrients and it's basically empty calories. Some of the stuff you can't even pronounce the ingredients that are used. And don't be concerned if you can't follow along with this, because when the class is over, I'll be providing a copy of this to Jane, and she will provide a copy to everyone.
So they can read it.
Screen. Just waiting on my next screen to come up. I'm not sure what's going on. I can't. There we go. Okay, so let's talk about processed foods. Basically, the unprocessed food is what you see in the produce department at the grocery store, or the bulk food in the bulk section, like the grains and the rice and the nuts and the beans. Some of the canned stuff that has been processed is still okay, just like the beans that we're using today and the corn and the tomatoes. But what you want to stay away from is the ultra processed foods, which those nutrients and the fiber have been stripped. And I mean, there's usually so many ingredients in there, a lot of which are from corn and soy. So here's a nice little snapshot of the heart on the right is a whole food plant-based lifestyle, and the heart on the left would be junk food or highly processed food. And it is possible you can be a junk food vegan because Oreos are vegan. So just be careful. She waiting again. Is my stuff boiling? I'll take the lid off and check it. Yes, okay. Stir it a little bit if you would. Made my slides too long. Okay, the next thing we want to do is we want to eat plant strong. And what exactly does that mean? Plant strong is exactly how we eat. Sorry, I have to let someone else in. So phytonutrients and fiber are only found in plants. So there is no fiber in meat or chicken or dairy or cheese. And there's very few phytonutrients. Those and fiber are only found in plants. So basically we focus on eating a total whole food plant-based diet because we want all of those nutrients. And we don't want the cholesterol. The cholesterol is what is in the meat and the cheese, your dairy products. And we will talk about that. Cheese for me was the hardest thing to give up, but we actually make our own cheese, and I think we'll be doing that in our third class. Our next class will be pizza. Yes, we eat pizza. We eat pizza almost every Friday. So what is a plant-based diet and what is it not? It is not meat, it's not fish, it's not eggs or milk or butter or gelatin. And a lot of people don't think about the gelatin, but that actually comes from a horse's hooves. What that is that you can eat is fruits, vegetables, nuts, legumes, grains, and plant-based derived substitutes. And Jane and I were just talking about this earlier. I'm not a big fan, we'll go back to that. Choose healthy fats. Your body has to have fat to function correctly, but we don't want the fat from French fries. That needs to be turned on.
Yeah, I'll take care of it.
Shouldn't come from French fries in trans fat oil or any other kind of oil. So this is flax seeds, sesame seeds, avocados, olives, all kinds of nuts, pumpkin seeds, sunflower seeds, black sesame seeds, white sesame seeds, peanuts. The thing with nuts is be careful, again, you can buy them in the bulk section where they have no oil and no salt. So the third thing is to consider nutrient density. And that is how much nutrient is in the foods that you're eating. So nutrients like the vitamins and the phytonutrients are good for your health. And we eat a rainbow of fruits and vegetables, as well as whole grains, beans, and other whole plant foods. So the chicken and dairy and stuff. Here's what 500 calories looks like in your stomach. I love this slide. So if we start on the left, that's 500 calories of oil in your stomach. The next slide is 500 calories of cheese. And the third slide is 500 calories of meat. So you can see just by looking at those first three slides, how you can overeat because until you feel full, versus potatoes, rice, and beans, and fruits and veggies. So if I want to feel full, I'm going to eat the fruits and veggies with the potatoes, rice, and beans, because what I'm eating there is whole food plant-based, which is much healthier for me than the cholesterol and the fat in the oil, the cheese, and the meat.
What about?
About what?
Oh.
Well, if you have a comment, you should
Oh,
put it in there. So I know this is kind of hard to read and the print is small. I could not make it any larger, but again, you're going to receive a copy of this presentation, but basically this is just a scoring of fruits and vegetables with their nutrient dense score. And again, it's only fruits and vegetables. So there's no meat, there's no cheese, there's no fish, there's no pork, there's no chicken, no dairy. It's all fruits and vegetables. So again, we want to go with a rainbow of foods. Bright colors are the best. So anything that's from the rainbow in the fruit or the vegetable family, because these are packed with antioxidants. And the antioxidants are what kills the free radicals that are swimming around in your body. Everybody's got the free radicals. So if you're eating a whole food plant-based diet, then you're getting a lot more of the antioxidants to fight those free radicals. So I love this slide, and I love Dr. Esselstyn. And I want everybody to really think about this, you know, and we've heard this for 8 years now. Oh, this is an extreme way that you guys live and eat. Okay, well, this is his quote. Some people think the plant-based whole foods diet is extreme. Every year, 500,000 people will have their chests opened up, a vein taken from their leg and sewn into their coronary artery. Some people would call that extreme. Dr. Esselstyn is a cardiologist, and he's got a book out by the name of Prevent and Reverse Heart Disease. And it's featured in this DVD. If you have not seen it, Forks Over Knives, this was our aha moment. And I'd like to point out, if you would really look at the front of this package, warning, this movie could save your life, but take a look at what is underneath the fork. What is the knife? The knife is a scalpel. So if there's one documentary you should watch, it's Forks Over Knives.
More. Pretty good.
Now you can get this at your library. I know it was on Netflix, but I think it was just taken off of Netflix yesterday. I don't know if it's on Amazon Prime, or you can order the DVD. And this as well is one of my favorite slides. This is from Hippocrates, let food be thy medicine. And Bruce actually looked this up this morning. When did you tell me he died?
375 BC.
So, you know, 2,300 years ago, this man was telling us that food should be our medicine. But unfortunately, we've gotten away from that. So again, this presentation will be mailed to Jane, and she will be providing copies to everyone. Stop share. Okay. All right. So our quinoa is cooking away. So we need a couple more minutes. So while this is cooking, we're going to talk a little bit about what our normal day might look like. As I said, we've been doing this for 8 years.
Our normal day?
Our normal day, yes. If there is such a thing as a normal day. Let me go to my speaker view. Oops. Gallery. Speaker view. Okay, so breakfast. What do we do for breakfast? This is our big bowl. And basically what this is a combination of cereals. So we start with shredded wheat. This one's wheat and bran. No sugar, just plain shredded wheat. Uncle Sam's. This is wheat berries with flaxseed. Grape nuts, just plain old grape nuts. And there's two things in my shredded wheat box. Old-fashioned rolled oats, raw, not cooked. And I only buy this on occasion if it's on sale because it's so very expensive. This is Ezekiel cereal. It's like $7 a box. So again, I only buy that when it's on sale. So those are the things that are mixed in my container. And I'll take a half a cup out and put it in a bowl. And then I'll put in a tablespoon of ground flaxseed meal, a half of a banana, a handful of raisins, and usually whatever frozen berries we have, which is typically blueberries, and then your favorite non-dairy unsweetened milk. So that's typically our breakfast every day. So while this is going, we're going to cut up a few garnishes. Already done?
Yep.
Okay, so for garnishing today, we've got some cilantro and some scallions. Okay, so we've got the cilantro already cut up and the scallions already cut up. Bruce has cut the ends of the scallions off. Do you want to tell them why you've done that, what you're going to do with them?
Basically, I take the last inch and a half of an onion like this, trim off the roots a little bit, pull off some of the outer layer of the skin that's on here, and I'll put it in water and let it sit there for about 3 or 4 days, and it'll start regrowing. After about 4 or 5 days, it'll be about so tall, I'll plant it in my earth boxes, which are a garden facility that I use, and I will actually regrow these. So I don't have to buy bags and bags of this stuff at the store. I can just go out in my garden and pick it. It's a lot easier.
He just recently did that with basil. We needed basil for something. And I went to the grocery store and a little bag of, I think, 2 ounces of basil was like $2.99. And when I turned around in the produce department, I found a potted plant of basil for $4.99. So I bought the pot, I brought it home, and he said, oh, I can propagate that and we can grow our own basil. So from one little pot, we now have 2 full earth boxes of basil. So when I want basil, I go out in the driveway and pick fresh basil out of the earth box. So there's a lot of ways that you can, you know, people say, oh, it's so expensive to cook this way and eat this way. It's not really. It is time consuming, but guess what? We're all staying home right now. So right now we all have a lot of time on our hands. So the other thing that we're going to garnish with is avocado. If you don't like avocado, then don't use avocado. So the best way to cut an avocado is I'm just going to slice it in half the long way.
Twisted.
And then I'm going to just score it with my knife. And then I'm just going to put it in a dish. And then to get the pit out, and this is a really small pit, you want to take your knife and just turn your knife until you get the pit out. And then I'll score this half. Pit out there. We're hungry. I hope you guys are hungry. I hope you make this because it's so simple and so easy.
Smells so good.
And in addition to being just a main dish, you could also use this in a pita or put it in a tostada, make it a burrito. So we're just letting this cook for a couple more minutes. My quinoa is starting to get their little tails. So the last thing I'm going to add is my fresh spinach. I don't put that in at the beginning because it doesn't take long for spinach to wilt. So I'm just going to add a couple handfuls of my spinach and stir it in. And I'll tell you a little bit about why we made the change when we did. That was 2012. And basically, I've always loved, I need some more of that, please. I've always loved to cook from scratch. I got that from my father. He was a firefighter, and when he went to work back in the 50s, nobody knew how to cook. So he decided if he wasn't going to starve, he was going to learn to cook. So I got my love of cooking from my father. So in 2012, I was surfing on the Hillsborough County Library website, and I found this DVD called Forks Over Knives, and I thought it was a cooking DVD. So I requested it, and when it came in, I went and picked it up, and I sat down and started watching it. And at the time, my cholesterol was 232. And Bruce had just been put on a low dose of statins for his cholesterol. So when I started watching this, I was like, well, this has got to be it. We've got to try this. Because we were eating the Mediterranean diet, which we thought was healthy, but a lot of oils. We had chickens in our backyard, so we were eating organic eggs every day, sometimes raw. We had a half of a Black Angus beef in our freezer, and we had fish in our freezer, fresh off of the dock in the Panhandle. So when I saw the video, I thought that's what we needed to do. And I actually found a weekend immersion in Chicago, sponsored by Forks Over Knives, and I went to that. And when I came home, I cleaned out my pantry, got rid of all the junk food, sold the chickens to a nice family with a couple kids, sold the beef, sold the fish. And Bruce was actually in Indiana working on a house that we owned up there, and he had taken some beef with him. And when I came home, I started cooking this way, and I would take pictures of what I was making every night, and I would send them to him. And about a week later, he started sending me pictures of what he was cooking, which was whole food plant-based. He gave the beef away to the neighbors. He got off of his statins. The level of inflammation in our bodies was severely reduced, just like Jane was sharing with you earlier. And we also had the same side effect that Jane's husband had. She said he's dropped 45 pounds. I lost 15 pounds, and Bruce lost 30 pounds. And we eat more food now than we've ever eaten. We don't count calories. We don't eat a lot of junk food. You can be a junk food vegan. It's very easy to be a junk food vegan. Anything you want to add?
I'm going to cook for another minute.
Yeah.
No, just don't be a junk food vegan. Do not do that.
And it's easy to be. And I made reference to it in the presentation when the one slide talked about plant-based substitutes. I'm not a big fan of the Beyond Burger and the imitation plant-based meats, but if it's the only way that you can transition from ordering that Whopper at Burger King to ordering the Beyond Beef Whopper, then by all means do it. But just don't get into the habit of eating those type of substitutes on a daily or weekly basis. If you read the label, you'll understand why. I don't recommend that you do that, but if it is the only way for you to make the transition, then absolutely make the transition.
Well, in addition to that, you have all the other stuff that you buy with the Whopper that is bad for you. You know, all the French fries and all the bread, white bread, and all that kind of stuff. It's not very good for you.
Yeah, we don't do white flour, white rice. White flour is whole wheat flour that has been stripped of the bran and the fiber. So That cooks for a couple more minutes. I'm going to come and check and see. I'm going to unmute everyone and then we can take some questions. So, no.
So Michelle, we've had some stuff going on in the chat.
Okay.
You might want to also look at that. We've been kind of sharing information and asking questions in the chat.
Okay. Oh yeah, 27. Let's see. Okay. Do you have trouble getting enough protein? Okay. I have a great story about protein. And that is our #1 question. Where do you get your protein? So.
Hey, can I just clarify the reason I asked that question? Because
Sure.
I don't eat soy.
Okay.
And I know a lot of folks will use soy to replace protein. So
correct.
Go for it.
But there is protein in beans. There's protein in green leafy vegetables. So about 4 years ago, I was shopping in a grocery store and I had things that you would see like we are using today. And the cashier, as she was ringing up my order, said, "Whoa, you really eat healthy." And I said, "Yeah, we try." And she said, "Can I ask you a question?" I said, "Sure." She said, "Where do you get your protein?" So I said, "Well, almost everything that I'm buying has protein in it." And I said, "Can I ask you a question?" And she said, "Sure." I said, "Where do you get your fiber?" She said, "In my orange juice with Metamucil every day."
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So I don't know personally of anybody that eats this way that has a protein deficiency, nor has been hospitalized for a protein deficiency. The standard American diet, you're eating too much protein. So protein should be like your steak or chicken should be the size of your fist. And when was the last time you saw a steak at Outback Steakhouse or Ruth Chris that was this size? So on the standard American diet, you're eating way too much protein.
There's another thing too.
Go ahead.
Stand up so they can see me. Big animals in the animal world, they eat nothing but plants.
I like that shirt.
Oh, and this shirt, we were in Trader Joe's a couple years ago in Sarasota before the one in Tampa opened up, and Bruce had that shirt on and we were shopping. And there was a mother with her daughter who was probably 6 or 7, and she kept looking at Bruce's shirt. And she finally asked her mom, she said, "Mommy, what does his shirt say?" And she looked at it and she said, "Well, it says herbivore." And she said, "Well, what does that mean?" And she said, "That's his religion." Can you also share your thoughts on cost? I know meat is the most expensive grocery item, but buying organic can be pricey too. Yes, it can be, and we'll cover the organic stuff in one of our other classes, but basically the only time I buy organic is in the produce section, especially only if it's on the Dirty Dozen list. And that is the 12 produce items that have the most pesticides on them. So, I mean, it's so inexpensive and cheap to buy beans that are dry. You know, I don't buy canned beans. I did it today for our presentation just for the ease of it. But Jane and I were talking about this earlier today. I cook all of my beans from dry in my Instant Pot. Chickpeas is one of the longest one. It takes 40 minutes. They don't have to be pre-soaked. So there's so many different ways that you can cut your costs by eating this way. I was watching another documentary with Darren Olean, who also has a vegan podcast. He went to Sardinia, Italy, who has the largest, centurions. That's talking about the Blue Zone group. And that's a study in a book by Dan Buettner. National Geographic hired him, and they wanted him to go around the world and find out why were these people living to be 100 years old. They are not all whole food, plant-based, or vegan, but they may eat meat or dairy like once a week or once every other week. It's not the main staple on their plate. The main staple on their plate is the legumes and the rice and the vegetables.
And exercise.
And exercise. They walk everywhere. Love my Instapot. I have 3 of them. Let me go back up to the top. Debbie, I can see and hear you. However, I have no camera, so I'm hoping to watch and hear at least. Okay. You can pin the video if you hover over it. Okay.
Yeah, that was when we were at the beginning. Everybody was trying to figure out how to bring you
okay.
on screen. Yeah.
Okay. Go to full screen.
Derek, I got mine through Amazon. And if you wait until they typically do sales, like I think I got mine during a Black Friday sale. I've seen them go on sale before Mother's Day, you know, things like that. You can get it for like half price. So
yes, and also if you order anything on Amazon Prime, if you do a return and you choose to do the return at Kohl's, when you take your Amazon products to Kohl's, they will print you out a 25% off coupon to use in their store within a week. So that's how I bought my last one. I bought a little 3-quart one to put in our little travel trailer. So I took that 25% off coupon and I went right back to Kohl's and I bought an Instapot. So yeah, there are ways that you can get them for Instapot for the win. Love mine. I have one of those juicer gizmos too. Okay,
the juicer thing they used.
Juicers are okay occasionally.
No, that thing that you use to squeeze the juice. That's what I was talking about.
Oh, okay. Okay. Because I was going to say juicing is okay, but again, you're losing the fiber. So it's better to do a smoothie with the whole fruit.
I want to give everybody a little hint about the Instant Pot as well. Number one, that's the only way that I can actually cook rice and not mess it up. I don't know why I can't cook rice in any other way. But I bought not an extra Instant Pot, but just the insert. So that when I'm done with one item, I can just pull the insert out, stick the new one in, and cook whatever else I'm making for that meal. So it's good to have an extra insert. Okay,
somebody wants to know, can you share the reason for not using oil at all? If that's personal, no worries. Okay, oil. We'll talk about oil. We don't use oil because, number one, it's not a whole food. So if you talk about olive oil, if you take the olive, that's the whole food. We will eat the olive. We'll eat the coconut. But to get olive oil, you're taking the olive and you're stripping it of all of the fiber, most of the nutrients, and what you're left with is pure fat. So if you remember the slide that I showed you of your stomach of 500 calories of oil in your stomach, 1 tablespoon of oil, any kind of oil, is 120 calories of pure fat. Plus it clogs your arteries. So we haven't done oil for 8 years.
Oh, miss it.
What the Health was also my aha moment. Okay. And we'll cover some of the great documentaries that are out there in another one of our classes, but What the Health is newer than Forks Over Knives. It's also an excellent documentary.
I'm super interested to hear to do the cheese class.
Yes,
because that's probably one of the hardest things for me too.
It was definitely the hardest thing for me to give up. I think me more than Bruce. But we make a cheddar cheese, we make a cheddar cheese spread, we make a Monterey Jack cheese, we make cheese sauce for macaroni and cheese. Yeah, cheese was hard. And again, we'll cover this in another class, but Dr. Neil Bernard has a book out called The Cheese Trap. And if you read the first chapter, you'll never eat cheese again.
All right, then.
What else have we got here? I would love to because I did it for health reasons.
Oh, Jane was asking Derek, who has been vegan for 3 years, if he wanted to give a testimonial at one of the future classes.
Oh, that'd be great. If he wants to do that now, we have the time to do that. Derek?
I have to serve.
Yeah.
What is your testimony? You've been vegan for 3 years?
Yeah, I did it for, like I said, for health reasons. I was diabetic for a long time, high cholesterol, high blood pressure. became 50 years old, and my blood sugars were running so high that they couldn't even give me an appointment for my colonoscopy.
Wow.
Until I dropped my blood sugars. So becoming vegan actually saved my life, and I'll let you know why. At that moment, I said, you know what? Okay, I'm gonna try this vegan thing. Within 3 weeks, my blood sugars came down so low that they were at least able to schedule my colonoscopy, and they said, keep going. Afterwards, when I had my colonoscopy, they found precancerous polyps.
Oh.
And one of them was so huge that they said it was definitely gonna burst within the next year or two, and I definitely would have got colon cancer.
Wow.
From that. So becoming vegan saved my life. Also reversed my diabetes to the point where I don't take insulin anymore.
Yep.
But with all those years of uncontrolled diabetes, my kidneys took a hit.
Oh, wow.
I am currently on dialysis for kidney. Tampa General Hospital for a kidney transplant, hopefully soon. I got to get cleared. I got to lose another 10 pounds
Okay.
in order to do that. My problem now is that I'm relying too much on comfort foods.
Yep.
And that's the hardest part of being vegan. You go right back to that comfort food zone. I have to start eating the way I started eating when I became vegan.
Yep. Well, you know how to do it.
Well, that's why I took this class to really get my, get back into it. And,
Good.
And yeah, so like I said, that What the Health was my aha moment when the information on that thing was so powerful for me. It just, it resonated and it hit home with me.
Glad to hear it. Glad to hear your story. Thank you for sharing it.
Thank you. And I'm glad you guys are doing this because I'm going to be a regular participant in your classes. I tell you that.
That's great. That's great.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
We also have, I was telling Jane earlier that we are also doing virtual cooking demos for Nature's Food Patch. We used to do a live class for them. We've been cooking for them for almost 5 years. We used to do a live class the first Saturday of every month over at their downtown Clearwater store, but with the COVID-19, we haven't had a live class since March, but we're doing virtual cooking demos, and my third one posted today. So if you go to Nature's Food Patch, either their website or their Facebook page, and look for videos, you'll see my 3 virtual cooking demos, as well as also look for John Van Vlartigan. He is also a whole food plant-based chef. He's also doing virtual demos for Nature's Food Patch because right now we cannot go do live cooking demos.
Yeah, I have a Nature's Food Patches on my Facebook page. Yeah,
Okay.
I joined them as well, so I get those.
So check it out. You'll see the virtual cooking demos. So I think we've gone through all the questions. If I've missed any, please let me know, but we're going to go ahead and plate our dish.
I'm excited.
Wish you could taste it.
I know.
Wish you could smell it.
So, yeah, can you show it to them?
Can you see that?
So there's the rainbow. We've got yellow, red, green, white, brown. So presentation, I love to talk about presentation. All my dishes are white. Why is that? Because this is like an artist blank palette. So if you think about it, we eat with our eyes first. If somebody brings you a dish in the restaurant, the first thing you do is look at it and you decide, oh, that's going to be good. Or am I looking at all the busyness on the plate? So I'm starting with a blank slate. So, what?
Sure.
So I'm going to put some of my quinoa on my plate.
Good.
And then I'm going to add some scallions and a little bit of cilantro. And a couple pieces of avocado. And here is my quinoa. You can, I don't know if you can see the steam coming.
Can you bring it closer to the camera?
Yep, sure can. So here's my quinoa.
That looks amazing.
It tastes excellent. It's great as a leftover. So there is just the two of us. So this is going to be our lunch when we get off camera. And then we'll have enough leftovers for probably 2 more meals. So
nice.
And we'll talk about that in one of our other classes about batch cooking, about why we batch cook and how you can save time by batch cooking.
Yep.
And one other thing I want to cover, I got some salsa here, which I'm so lucky. My brother lives in Indiana, which is where I'm from, and I miss Indiana beefsteak tomatoes. So he brings me homemade salsa every year. I love it. So this is just a plain wide mouth mason jar. Wide mouth mason jar. Okay. Ball, mason, whatever. Now, I know we're all staying home right now, but if I was going to the office or I was going on a day trip or whatever, I would take my mason jar and I'm going to put some of my quinoa in the jar. But then I want some of my garnishes, okay? But I don't want to put my cilantro in with the quinoa or my scallions. So I've got this neat little container here, which is from a ½ cup of organic applesauce, okay? So I don't throw these away. I wash this, and look, it fits right inside my jar. So I'm going to put, actually, I'm going to put some salsa in this one. I don't want my salsa mixed in with that either, so I'm going to pour a little bit of salsa in that applesauce container. And then I'm going to put my lid on, but I also want some cilantro and some scallions and some avocado. So I got some scallions, some cilantro, a couple pieces of avocado. And I'm going to put that on top of my lid. And then I'm going to put my band on.
What a great idea.
I've got my quinoa. I've got my salsa. I've got my garnishes. And this is great for everything. Salad dressing, non-dairy yogurt with granola. So I love this. This is one of my favorite tools, and I use this all the time.
That's amazing.
Yeah, simple. Just a wide mouth mason jar and the containers from organic applesauce.
Check for last minute.
So does anyone have any last minute questions? Anything we didn't answer? Next Thursday at 5:30, we'll be doing pizza.
Yay, I will be here. Thank you so much. This was awesome.
Any other questions? I'm kind of looking at the chat.
Can I ask you a quick question?
Sure.
I know you had quinoa. What about couscous? Is that not a good thing to use?
Oh no, you can use couscous. We do all the grains. Couscous, quinoa, freekeh, teff. I mean, all of them. My pantry is full of all kinds of different grains.
I tend to buy Israel couscous all the time. That's my particular one I like, and I have a whole container in front of me. So I think
and the one thing I forgot to mention, and Derek was talking about his cholesterol, is I told you my cholesterol was 232 in June of 2012. And 6 weeks after making the switch from the SAD, Standard American Diet, to a whole food plant-based diet, I went back and had my blood work redone, and my cholesterol went from 232 to 147.
Amazing.
So, I mean, there's just so many health benefits to eating this way. We will never, ever go back. And Derek, please spend a little time online to Google vegan comfort foods, because there's many recipes out there that you can still get that comfort. We had some issues this week where I actually fixed a sweet potato meatloaf and some mac and cheese, and that was our comfort meal a couple nights ago.
Thank you. Yeah, I found a lentil loaf, which was awesome. That was pretty good.
Yeah, there's just a plethora of recipes out there. So don't lose hope on not finding good whole food plant-based comfort recipes, because they're out there.
No, I understand that greatly. I just want to stay away from comfort foods because it's led me back to not feeling good again, so I want to stay away from that for a little while. What I want to do is start rewarding myself with comfort.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? Choose it, like you said, pizza on Friday. So on Friday, I want to have this, but the rest of the week, I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing. So.
Well, and you're
going to make pizza on Thursday next week.
Yeah,
that's true. That's true. So everybody should have the recipe. Everyone will have the presentation that I will email to Jane. In addition to our demos on the Nature's Food Patch Facebook page or their website, I also have a Facebook page. It's my Michelle's Whole Food Plant-Based Journey, and I'll send that link to Jane as well. I hope you guys have enjoyed our class today. We hope you will join us again next Thursday. And
see you next time. Thank you so much.
Stay well and be safe.
Thank you. Thanks,
you.
everyone. Thank you, Michelle and Bruce.
You're welcome.
Take care. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.